If you've ever visited St. Andrews, the golf course is at the end of this road, but you'll see Ochterlony's here, which is a golf shop that's been around for many years under Willie and Laurie Ochterlony. Around the corner, though, uh, kind of on the back side where old Tom Morris's actual house was, which is kind of behind this car over here, there is the pre-owned Ochterlony's shop. And if you step in through this door on the left, you will step into a used golf shop and you'll see this wonderful workbench. And you could see how long this workbench has been here. Look at this vise here with all of the stuff on it. I don't know if that's old hide glue or wax from pitch, but whatever it is, it's probably from pitch, I'm guessing. Um, but this is what I wanted to show you. This is just a piece of wood or a couple pieces of wood. And I asked the gentleman who works there, who happened to make some long nose clubs himself. He learned under someone who then, uh, in turn, learned under Laurie Ochterlony, who was one of the last guys to really make long nose clubs. But this is a grip roller, he told me. And the way they use it is they use the top block and roll the grip onto this other board. And I think they use the other board because the workbench might be messy with wood chips and things, and you don't want to get your grips embedded with the stuff on the workbench. In my book, Practical Club Making, I include this pretty well-known photo of Robert Forgan in his shop with his son. And in front of him, letter G, is that same wooden block that you saw in Ochterlony's shop, or set of blocks. And again, that's what they use to roll the grips. I'm pretty sure that's the same thing. So here's a finished club, and you could see the grip here. So if you look at the old grips from the old days, most of them, or almost all of them, had pretty smooth leather. Not necessarily the leather itself, but you didn't really feel the seams in between, or you didn't feel the wrap. People these days, that's fine. Whatever they want to do is fine. Traditionally, though, I would say it would be very unusual to see overlapping of the leather. In fact, I don't know if I've ever really seen that. But one thing you would see, though, is sometimes this whipping would be brought down in a spiral fashion, and then they do it again with this whipping and bring it up there, and you'd have these crisscross pieces of whipping, and that was used to provide extra grip sometimes. So I just finished this club. It's a short spoon made of beech, and beech isn't my favorite wood in terms of color, so I stained it. But I'm just finishing up the club, and there's a grip on here. And you could see, if you look closely, I'll do a close-up, but you could see some gaps and things like that. And if I rub my finger on here, I can feel some elevation of the grip in some various spots here. You might be able to see it right there, and there's another lip right there. So I'm gonna take just a block of wood, fancy grip roller here, and I'm going to use that on my workbench. But one thing you got to make sure is make sure you get rid of all sawdust and everything, or metal filings. You don't want that inside of the grip. So I clean the workbench, and I'm just going to place this grip on here and use the block, press down firmly. And I think this is what they did. I don't know for sure. I should have actually asked the guy that was at Ochterlony's a little bit more how he did it, how he learned to do it, but I'm sure they're just doing something like this. I do have a little bit of a gap here, which I'm not too fond of, but the rest of it is flattening out pretty well. Again, some people modern players who play hickory golf don't like a perfectly flat grip with no overlap. Especially the guys out in the Midwest, they have a lot of overlap sometimes. But whatever you want to do is fine. Just traditionally, I believe that most of the time the grips were fairly flat. And I try to do what was traditional in order to try to learn what the game was like as much as possible. Now you might be able to see here that there's a little bit of a piece of leather there that's overlapping. So here I'm just taking a metal burnisher, and I can get rid of that if I want to. Really put a lot of focus pressure on there. Some people will take their fingernail and get in there. So in the book of Golf and Golfers by Horace Hutchinson, there is a chapter called Practical Club Making, and that's the chapter that is the basis of my book. And in the very end of this 16-page chapter, J.H. Taylor, along with George Kent, describes, then get a smooth piece of wood and roll the grip between it and a clean part of the bench, afterwards taking off the rough edges with the cabinet file. So I'm feeling the grip. It feels pretty good, except I feel right under my palm of my hand here. I'm feeling a little bit of a elevated piece of grip here. So I used the burnisher. I was not able to get that tucked in and smooth. Some people would leave it like that, but J.H. Taylor recommends the cabinet file. So let's give that a try. So I've actually never done this. I usually am pretty good. I'll tolerate a little bit of an overlap, but I do feel a bump right here. You can see that. So I'm taking a half round flat cabinet file, pretty fine. And yeah, it'll get rid of that. That's one way to do it, I guess. So you just work that. I haven't perfected the technique, but it's definitely getting rid of some of that overlapping material. And that is the history of rolling a golf grip.